See the light of a new day.
Hi, this is Guy Evans. I'm here with Dr. Megan Guffey. This is the Guy and Guffey Show.
Hi guys.
This is the first in a series of installments where we're going to try and unpack a little bit about this hospital here in Lake Chelan that everybody's talking about.
Right, and try to give you the information so you can make the best decision and understand why we're so enthusiastic about a new hospital at this time.
So the first thing we're going to do today is do a decision tree based upon, how we get to this notion of creating a new hospital here. And Dr. Guffey's writing in the first thing of, do we maintain health care in Chelan? Now most of us would say, yeah, I actually want a clinic, I want a hospital, but those are critical places to start. And if you don't want that, then we're really driving to Wenatchee. But I think everybody, even the opponents of this issue, are on the same page that yes, we want a clinic and a hospital.
Okay, so the next step is, as long as we're keeping the hospital and the clinic, are we going to maintain the same level of services, or are we looking at cutting back on services? So if we want to expand or even maintain the same level of services for the population that we have now, or be able to take care of the population as it's growing, we really need to expand the facility. When we brought in experts to look at how it would be possible to take care of the community we have now, or plan for taking care of the community of the future, they said we need about 76% more, or a total of about 77,000 square feet of hospital space in order to do that.
So the key here is, a couple of terms as well, is if we go yes, we're going to use green for yes here, like yes, we do want to maintain the same level of service. That's basically going to that bigger hospital that Megan talks about, where we can continue to, among other things, deliver babies, have surgery so people don't have to drive a long ways to see grandma and grandpa when they're getting patched up or whatever, and generally continue with the vision that our hospital has put forth. The opposite side, which you can tell them a little bit about, is called the famed,
stabilize and ship. Now I know you've heard this, and it means a couple of different things depending on who on the no-opponent side you ask. But if you want to look at a stabilize and ship model, you're looking at a cut down of services, or less than we offer today. What kinds of things would we be giving up? Well, most importantly, we'd probably be giving up obstetrical services. That means no one would ever be able to say born and raised in the Chelan Valley anymore as of today. If we stop delivering babies here, we also probably lose the ability to take care of little young babies in our clinic and grow and be really good family doctors that take care of mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and the little babies. And we really enjoy doing that. So I think we fear a concern from the physicians that we give up a valuable part and an enjoyable part of our practice.
Critical decision. So no vote is stabilize and ship, no babies in the valley, a lot of decreased services at basically the same financial cost in a lot of models. Yes vote is continuing on to this next question of like, okay, we need to build a bigger facility. Now, do we want to build, I'll let you have the blue pen here.
All right. One thing I forgot to add though, sorry about this guy, I'm a talker. The other thing we forgot to add was we probably wouldn't be doing as many surgeries here anymore either. So what if you needed an emergency appendectomy because you got appendicitis? Or what if you needed a joint surgery and you didn't want to go all the way to Seattle, Spokane, or even Wenatchee if that was an option for you, and you wanted to do it closer to home where people could come visit you when you're in the hospital recovering? Or you want your animal to come visit you, or you want your family to be able to come visit you. Not everybody can do that when you have surgery far away from home.
Mm-hmm. Key point. Remember that. So the next one is, so we want to keep our babies born here in the valley and all the other services that Megan just listed. So do we want to do this in the most affordable way? Now studies have been done to maintain our level of current services at our current hospital by remodeling that facility. Or we could go off-site, which is the plan, up by Apple Blossom Center, Walmart, and build a new facility. And what we're looking at if we do the affordable route is about a $56 million is the state and in the current location area price tag. Let me write that in so I can get my words straight. 56M.
That's $56 million.
And if we went down here to the new facility at Apple Blossom Center, 44.5-ish million.
Right, so that's 44 versus 56.
And that's the $12 million delta between these two, which really points out that yes, we do need to build a new hospital. And intuitively, if you've ever done any remodeling, that kind of makes sense. It's more expensive, especially when you're up on the hospital slope like that with lots of rock and topography issues, steep slopes, that sort of thing. it's just more expensive to do that, and that's what the numbers are borne out.
Right. Plus, like, I actually hate to think about what it would be like for patients to live through a remodel, because, you know, we can't shut down the entire hospital during a remodel. Part of being a critical access hospital means we stay open 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that means we have to be able to maintain all services to take care of current patients during that time, which would be very challenging when we're working on replacing entire plumbing or sewer or HVAC systems. That becomes incredibly challenging. Plus, think about people are in the hospital to heal. It's not very easy to heal when you got dynamite blasting outside.
Very true. So the next one is, and this is the expert on this one, is how we're going to pay for this, right? And so the question is, do you want to pursue a balanced approach to pay for this, where taxpayers pay for some of it through the levy that we're going to vote on the 25th, and the hospital pays for some of it through mainly reimbursements through the federal government. So I'm going to write that up, and she's going to tell you more about that.
So this part is scary, right? Because we're looking at spending a huge amount of money, but the thing that people forget is we're looking at spending millions of dollars either way. Because doing nothing isn't an option. So in option A, we look at having to upgrade the current facility just to bring it up to code, and we're spending tens of millions of dollars to do that. That would actually require the hospital to take out a loan and borrow probably half to 2/3 of the total amount that we can borrow and still stay financially stable. That's only going to buy us mostly upgrades to things you can't even see with your eyeballs. So if you went into the hospital after everything was fixed and upgraded, according to what the current deficiencies are, you wouldn't even notice a difference. That doesn't give you private rooms that help people heal. They're quieter, they're more private, they allow for patient dignity and patient respect, and they also decrease infections. I mean, who wants to share a room with someone and share a bathroom with someone with infectious diarrhea when maybe you're admitted for pneumonia? Those two things just don't really go together very well in the same room. So you have to understand we're spending millions of dollars either way. We can spend it wisely by investing in a hospital that will take not only us, but our children and grandchildren, be a facility they want to visit and they can visit, that will be able to take care of them into the future. Or we spend that money foolishly by borrowing money that we have to invest in the current structure that doesn't really get us very far down the road. Then we're looking at having this whole discussion again some 5-10 years in the future, and we're all back to square one. Doesn't really seem like the best way to spend the community's money.
This is true. Do you know what? So this is a little bit up here, is what you're talking about. But that's okay. This is complex even to us, right? So you were describing the notion of putting more money into the current facility, which
Right.
wouldn't solve the issues at hand, which is a real bad idea on anybody's radar. And the more specific question here is, how do we pay for this big hospital?
Okay, let me take a second crack at that. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me take a second crack at that. Sometimes I just get so excited about all the different arguments.
She's really excited about
I get
this.
lost about this. I love math. So
the point is, $20 million levy, $22.5 million
right.
USD.
Now how do we
loan.
pay for that? Some people are concerned the hospital can't afford that. And I've heard people make that argument. How is the hospital who works on a very small margin, which healthcare in general is, pay for that amount of debt payment? Now let me explain that to you.
And
It's
I'm
a
gonna
beautiful
draw you a
thing.
graph here.
Thank you so much. It's a beautiful thing called cost-based reimbursement. And let me unpack that a little bit and explain what that is. It's only true for critical access hospitals. It's not true for rural health hospitals, which the opposition spends a lot of time trying to convince you that we are. Not true. We are a critical access hospital. And as such, that means we get 101% of our cost reimbursed to us. So if it costs us $2,000 to take care of someone, we get $2,010. It's not a very big margin, but the point is that it's a consistent revenue stream. Now, we're going to talk about the pie chart that my compatriot here is drawing because it's very, very important, okay? And the reason that is because when you look at how much money we will owe based on the new hospital, it's about $2.7 million a year. Now that sounds like a lot of money, but what you don't know is that $2.5 million of that is paid for in the first 10-year projections, okay? That means we only owe about $200,000 a year. Now let's explain how that's true, right? So we get cost-based reimbursement. Not only do we get the money for taking care of the sick people, but we get to claim some of those costs of the new construction of the building, the interest on the loan, and any depreciation of that building as part of our costs. So that means the government actually pays us this big a chunk of the pie in order to keep our hospital open. In addition, this amount here, this chunk of the pie from here to here, that's the amount that comes from you, the taxpayers, and the levy. So we look at all of that together, we look what's left over. See this really, really skinny part of the pie right here, this little tiny piece? That's actually 7%. That's the amount the hospital owes every year.
And that's just under $200,000. And the point is that's well within the hospital's capacity to make every year. So when you hear comments like, oh gosh, this big debt, we can't afford to pay it, we really can't afford to not do this from a long-term wise investment standpoint.
Exactly. It's actually less than the debt amount we pay now.
This is true.
So in some weird way, and I agree this sounds odd, this actually saves us money and we get a whole new facility out of it.
Yeah.
Who would say no to that?
Who would say no to that? That's right. So we're on to the last point here, and I'm going to hand off this blue to you.
Taking the pen.
And that really gets down to this notion of, is it best to build now and take advantage of really low insurance, or not insurance, but interest rates? Or should we wait? Should we just kind of kick this down the court, another few years? And the critical thing is, as you know, if you've been in Chelan for a few years at all, is this is not our first rodeo. This is the third time we've tried to pass a levy to build a new hospital. And preceding that, there was other efforts to remodel the current facility up on the hill. Now you have to ask yourself, why do the commissioners who we elect to represent us in terms of managing the hospital keep building this back, bringing this back to us time and time again? And the answer is quite simple. As they consider the facts, they consider the state of the current building, and they consider the state of healthcare, as well as this reimbursement structure that we talked about, it's just patently clear that the best thing to do is to build a new hospital. It's just like no ifs, ands, or buts. We may not as a community have communicated that well in the past, and that's why we narrowly missed it. Everyone was in great support but didn't quite get the 60%. But this time around we're hoping to get that 60% so that we can kind of put this behind us and move on, build this new facility, take advantage of the low interest rates right now, take advantage of the critical access hospital reimbursement structure, and be done with the liabilities that the current facility offers and really go into a new facility with space to grow for many years to come.
That's right. I think it's time to be optimistic about our future. Chelan's a beautiful place to live, and I think a lot of the doctors and healthcare providers that choose to live here want to provide the best services they can to our community and to their patients. And really, a new facility is the best way for us to do that. Because we care about the healthcare that you get, and we fervently believe that's best done in a new facility.
And this is kind of a pragmatic optimism. I mean, really this has been thought through and through. If you know Kevin Abel, the current CEO up there, very thoughtful and numbers-based guy, and he's leading a great team, both on the administrative and the care providing sides of the hospital, to this new future. And it's just up to us, me and you, citizen folk, who check yes on April 25th to make this step and to contribute our efforts to the process. So,
and me, don't forget about me.
Well, you're a doc, so you're out there on the front lines every day. So we invite you to vote yes on April 25th.
Yes, we do.
Until
Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
We're still working our ending out. Until next time, this is Guy.
This is Guffey.
And the Guy and Guffey Show. We'll be back.
Bye, thanks. Vote yes.
To be alive.